Some universities or some colleges or some schools in general require you to pay tuition deposits. People are finding it difficult to get jobs. Focus your energy on coming down, like preparing your documents and all of that, but also focus on the life after getting your visa, because there's so many things to do. You know, when you come to Canada as an international student, one of the most important things that guarantees your successful graduation in the long term is your ability to pay. That's your financial capacity. So this video is going to talk about how you can make those payments, whether locally or internationally. It is also not advisable to use your credit card to purchase something and immediately pay it off. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yemisi. On this channel I create immigration videos, lifestyle vlogs, all of those good stuff. In today's video I will be talking about how to pay your tuition fees as an international student. A couple months back I did a video that is similar to this. In that video I talked about how I was able to pay my tuition fees as an international student, and I got a lot of good responses from that, so I'm going to leave the video up here for you. In that video I talked about seamless way to pay in terms of, you know, when you come to Canada as an international student, one of the most important things that guarantees your successful graduation in the long term is your ability to pay. That's your financial capacity. And I know a lot of international students have struggled with that quite a bit, or rather there's been financial challenges and all of that. I want you to watch that video, but also watch this video to the end, because this one is a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about the payment method you can use to actually pay off your tuition fees. Some universities or some colleges or some schools in general require you to pay tuition deposits. An example would be the University of Saskatchewan. The last time I checked, you have to pay $1,000 deposit in order to get your seat secured. I don't know if that applies to all universities or colleges, but I know that there's been a lot of schools jumping on that as well. You can pay tuition fees when you're within the country, when you're outside of the country, for those that have parents or guardians to send them money. So this video is going to talk about how you can make those payments, whether locally or internationally. Let us go into the video. Quick disclaimer, I am not a licensed immigration consultant. I make videos based off of my research and some of the information that I've gathered. Some universities use third-party platforms such as Flywire, PayPal. Those are some of the ones that I'm aware of. For example, the University of Saskatchewan and the University of Regina uses Flywire. After filling your information, get your invoice. For those that are paying from abroad, you take that invoice to your bank. There's usually like an invoice number. The banker knows all of the things to do, or the teller knows everything to put into the information. So there's usually like a form to fill. Some could fill the form A. Also on that Flywire, you will have the option of whether you want to pay through your local bank or you want to pay through e-transfer, so like mobile banking. So I believe that there are different invoices that you get depending on the one you go for. For those that go to the bank, like the actual bank, so from A, the invoice is usually one of the documents that you will attach alongside international passport, alongside your admission letter from your school. A lot of documents, it depends depending on the bank that you're working with. The invoice from Flywire is usually like a typical A4 paper that you print out and then you attach it, take it to the bank to make your payments. It might take like 24 to 72 hours. For PayPal, I wanted to let you guys know though that PayPal has like a foreign transaction fee of around 5%, so that's something that you should put in mind. Also, before I forget, if you use your local bank, there's also like local bank charges that you get to pay based off of the transaction. So that's one thing that I thought I needed to quickly share there. When you're paying from abroad, there are different ways to pay than when you're paying within Canada, and I am trying to split these two because, like I mentioned earlier, some people actually do pay from their home country while some people just pay from, you know, the local fee. So for those people that work part-time, you're able to just gather money and then pay your tuition fees. But let's first talk about those people that pay from their home country. Like I mentioned, Flywire. Another one is Form A. So this one is depending on your country's policy in terms of limits. I'm a Nigerian and I know that there are some sort of financial policy that's been introduced in the last 2 to 3 years. So there is a certain amount that you cannot pay. Also, if you are paying for tuition fees, there's an amount. Like, there are so many policies in place and limits in place, so you need to like check with your local bank so that you are aware of those limits, aware of the charges. Also, you can use your USD credit card and your USD Visa. USD is like the global recognized currency, so in any country in the world you can typically have access to a USD card. You can use your USD card to pay off your tuition fee from your home country. There's usually like a charge as well, like a transaction fee. MasterCard, credit card, Visa, debits. Yeah. Another one that I know that a friend of mine did way back was open a bank account here in Canada, like a GIC account. GIC is Guaranteed Investment Certificate, but it's more like a fixed deposit account that we have back home. I don't know if you're familiar with Germany type of admission or visa processing. You would typically have paid a certain amount into like a fixed account, and then every month they tend to disburse it to you. I think it also accrues interest, so more like our typical fixed deposit accounts. You get to earn interest on it, and every month, because they know that it's for the purpose of study, then you typically get disbursed every month depending on how much you've arranged or you've finalized with your banker. That's something that you can do from your home country, meaning open a guaranteed investment certificate here in Canada. So that funds, you can use it for your stipends or your tuition fees, depending on whatever need. Because I know that you can liquidate it, although you can be charged a penalty fee. If, for example, you had written in your agreements that you'll be liquidating in the next 6 months and you want to liquidate earlier, of course, you get charged some penalty fee. That's something you can open from your home country, and bringing it back to within Canada, you can also open a GIC account within Canada and then use that to pay your tuition fees. Also, in Canada, we have something called checking account. Checking is like our savings account back home, but I believe that it does not accrue any interest. So even if you have money in your checking account, you don't typically have interest on it even if the money is sitting there. And that's why I don't know about so many banks, but the bank that I opened with, I had to open a checking account, savings account, and also a credit account. So I opened those three. For the savings account, you get some, small interest here and there. For the checking account, you don't get anything. And that thing I wanted to say is that in as much as you're a student, you are not charged maintenance fee every month. I think for like 2 years, and maybe that's also depending on the length of your program. But for me, it was a 2 years program, so for that 2 years I wasn't charged a maintenance fee on my account. You can have a checking account, pay your tuition fee from your checking account. I think this also, you get charged maybe 0 point something percent depending on your bank as well. Then your credit card, for sure. In Canada, we use credit card to make a lot of purchases. The reason is because you're trying to build your credit score, and at the same time, it's like a money that you didn't work for that you can easily use, and then you pay back before. There's usually like a deadline. You would have seen it on your account where you have to pay a minimum payment. So they can say, pay this minimum payment, maybe $10 by this period. So let me explain what that means. People have actually asked me this question in the past, like make a video on it. So let me try to talk about everything in this video. If you have a credit card, it is advisable to use it from time to time in order for you to build your credit score. Because as a student, what are you really, like what are the things that you can really use to build your credit score, if not your day-to-day purchases, or maybe buying a phone and paying every month, or buying a wristwatch, or whatever gadget that you are buying. That way you are building your credit score. On the flip side, you have to pay back this money because of course you are owing the bank. On your account, you would have seen a minimum payment that you have to pay monthly, typically $10 monthly, but that's the minimum that you should pay. It does not necessarily mean that you should not pay the also. For example, if you are owing say $500 at the end of the period, you would have seen the dates you should at least pay. So they could say May 10th. So by May 10th, you have to pay that minimum payment that they must have put on the account. You would see it there. If you pay that minimum payment, you would still have a good credit score, but that does not mean that you will not be charged interest, because at the end of the day, you didn't pay the whole sum that you were owing. Even though that is that, it is also not advisable to use your credit card to purchase something and immediately pay it off. That way you don't build a credit score. For a Nigerian coming to Canada, I never used the credit card. Not that people don't have it, but majority of the people that use it back in my home country, and this might just be me, right? But majority of the people I think use it are usually like business account holders. So coming down here, when I got my card, I wanted to pay off like almost immediately, because if I have some funds in my checking account, why am I having a huge amount in my credit card? Like, I can always offset it, right? But if I buy something now, it's not advisable to just pay it off immediately. You can wait for like a week or some days before you pay it off. That way it kind of impacts your credit score in the long run. That way they know that you are credit worthy. Also, you want to pay off your credit card as soon as possible, or at least the minimum payment, so that you don't also have a bad credit score. So yeah, you just have to be careful when you are using your credit card, and you can talk to your banker, because obviously I'm not a banker, I'm just trying to say based off of the information I've gotten from my own banker. You have to pay your credit card, but also not pay it immediately, just so that you can build your credit score, and also paying it as soon as possible, between maybe 5 days to when your payment will be due. That brings me to say, if they say, for example, May 10th is the next minimum payment, I will advise that you should not wait till May 10th. Maybe you should pay like May 7th or May 8th, because it takes a while for it to impact your credit account. And that is why if you buy something with your credit card, you will typically see that the money does not impact your credit account immediately. It takes 24, 48 or 72 hours before it impacts. For me, I try to look at the date I'm supposed to pay, and then I credit my account like less than a week before, so that it can impact it, and my statement of accounts would have that infused in it, and that way I build my credit score. This video is not about credit score, but I just wanted to put that out there so that you understand how the credit accounting works. The other one is to use your check. And did I mention that with the credit card you get a percentage charge as well, right? So you also use your check. Check is basically, that long check, and that's another thing. I think I got one when I came in, but I never used it, and I don't think checks expire, right? With the check you can always pay your tuition fees. With your bank draft as well, you can always pay it, but make sure that there's money in that account so that it is easily cashed by the school. That is everything that I want to talk about regarding how to pay your tuition fees. Like I said, don't forget to go back to the video I made recently. No, not recently. I made that video about a year ago now, if I'm not mistaken. I'll leave it up over here so that you easily access it. I went granular in that video talking about how I paid my tuition fees, how you should at least pay maybe the first semester tuition fees before you come in, so that the financial burden is a little bit less on you, and how you should have plans for maybe a year tuition fees. Because see, when I even did that video, the financial whatever of the country, like inflation and all of that, had not set in yet. So now it's even crazy. People are finding it difficult to get jobs, so it's good to plan ahead. When you're planning to come down to Canada, that is one thing, right? Don't focus too much energy. Let me say this lightly. Focus your energy on coming down, like preparing your documents and all of that, but also focus on the life after getting your visa, because there's so many things to do. There's you getting an apartment, you're going to buy maybe your bus pass for a bit before you get a car, you're going to be paying rent, like groceries, inflation right now. I'm sure you guys have seen it all over the news. It's not unique to Canada alone. Across the globe, there's been inflation and all of that. So there is life outside of your visa approval. So that's when the reality sets in. I always advise people, have your tuition fees for a period, and not just your tuition fees, but like living expenses for a period, because what if you don't get a job immediately? What if, all of that? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and let me know in the comment section some of the things that you think I have missed. If anyone is here, maybe you're an ex-international student or you're currently an international student, let us know what people should be doing in the comment section. Maybe not just focus on tuition fees, but maybe other things that people should focus on